Yeah, okay, it looks like we're recording now. Yeah, as we're saying, it's pretty fucking hot in the UK now, and
Yeah,
it'd be like
it's hot. Yeah.
35 degrees on Monday, but
yeah, uncannily hot. Funny enough, I see a representation of a weather forecast from 2012, and it was like 34, 36 degrees, and the pictures were like yellows and oranges, same sort of temperatures we've got now, and they're all red and dark red, and it's just like a fear pomp, isn't it? They're just trying to push in, like, it's bad, it's really hot, it's bad, and it's like, oh, that was it. Estimates was between a few thousand people dying, right, through the heat wave, and I'm like, yeah, just fucking fear all the time.
That happens anyway, though. Anyway, it doesn't, like, people every winter, a few people die from the cold.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
That's the thing. There's always some boogeyman. There's always it's. Yeah, I mean, why is it so blatant that, I even know some family members who are probably more inclined towards being Hilux. They all just love absorbing that stuff, and they'll admit that it's negative and they don't like it, but they can't help but see it.
Yeah.
I told a family member that they actually worship the demiurge.
Okay.
He's got an idea of what it is, and then
right.
And he said, yeah, but I need to know what it's doing. So
fair enough. Yeah.
It's very.
Something you just said, though, just to backtrack a little bit, where you said how blatant it is. Yeah, it's becoming more blatant all the time. They're just really pushing it in people's faces now, where it's like people say, like, the evil is just it's showing itself as what it is, and yeah, becoming more blatant every day in its form and what it's trying to do. So yeah, interesting times.
Past 2 years I was saying before, like, the past 2 years has really confirmed a lot of our theories about what kind of reality we live in. I mean, before it was just conjecture, but I think it really took a very, a critical key moment for myself to realize. But then again, I look back and I'm thinking maybe 9/11 was that trigger for anyone who was on the fence all the way back in 2001. But I was 6 at the time.
Okay.
So I obviously sucked it all in. But yeah, perhaps this is like, because as you're saying, it's pretty weird now. The energy is strange. We could be like jumping between different timelines or being Mandela affected.
For sure. Yeah, it's interesting you said about 9/11, because I was about 26, I think, somewhere around there, and at the time where I was out on my journey, I did take that. I've always been anti-government, etc., so I don't take too much on board from what they say, but I did buy some of it at the time, but what I did notice was, looking back especially, that the degradation was begun around that time. Everything just started falling apart and just becoming, like you were saying about the evil becoming more prevalent, and I watched society sort of, and you look back, you watch it, and it started breaking down around then. It's like, for myself, I can remember the late 70s, and obviously my childhood was through the 80s, and then I started noticing an energy change around, I would say, going into the 90s, definitely around the mid 90s, I noticed something different happening. It was when I first started noticing the weather changes, and because I've always been an outside person, always. And when I got to maybe 16, 17 and started experimenting with psychedelics, that because I was out predominantly all night, you wouldn't really have to worry about the weather. You just wouldn't. I'd be out in a t-shirt, maybe have a jumper with me, jeans and trainers, and just running around all night doing whatever we wanted. You didn't really expect it to rain. When it comes to about the mid-90s, there was like unsettling in the weather, and it was what I noticed from now looking back was it was our consciousness. This is the way it seems. Our consciousness was being manipulated to such an extreme that I feel that was where the weather was reflecting back to us. Our consciousness changes. I'm not saying they've not got their weather manipulation tools and their machines and however they play this game, but I've always seen that the weather is directly related to us. So our consciousness was being degraded, so the weather started being degraded along with that. And that tied into where I was really noticing it was where farmers in the UK years ago were very shamanic, and they knew how to bring rain and sunshine and move weather patterns around. So we definitely controlled the weather with our consciousness. And that obviously those abilities have become being pushed away and become more declined as we go on. Again, with everything's declining into this abyss of debauchery. That's what I see coming. Total debauchery and violence. And this is where the demiurge has its biggest feed, through our fear. And if you're going into debauchery, you're having this violence, and they feed off the violence, they feed off the sadness, they feed off the pestilence. And it always comes back to me where the spirit has said to me many times, this is the mega harvest of their energy, where they're going to go for it and bring in more demons, etc. And ties in with what you was just saying about timelines and stuff like that, because they fired up CERN the other day to its full power. Obviously, it's a ritual. The gematria and the planet alignments, the numerology and everything around that was just like quite off the scale if you really get into that and research it. And it's all tied in, funny enough, with I got guided to watch a Netflix show called Stranger Things. It's kept popping into my conscious maybe for a few months now, and I put it off because I don't really like watching TV, but I will go and pick out occasional series if it's giving out some truth or someone's recommended it. I will go through this every now and again. But what tied into everything was they're showing an energy generation machine in there, and it's very CERN-like, and it's very around military and whatever else. But they've put in there Russians versus Americans, so that ties in with the Ukraine war and what's going on around that, and how that is a distraction away from what they're doing. And it was just very interesting. I haven't quite finished the series yet. I'm halfway through the last series, and it's just the amount of truth they're actually putting out there is quite big in that show, and what they're giving. And it's obviously up to us to discern it and to find what it is in there for our particular journey. But it's been very interesting to how they show the demiurge as well. So the Gnostics talk about how the demiurge have different ways of looking, one of them being reptilian. Another way they look is very looks like an embryo, like a baby not quite formed, and one of the beings in there in the last series looks that way.
Are you talking about the Greys or something?
Yeah, like that sort of look. Sure. Yeah, they've got that sort of look. This is very demonic. This character is very demonic, but it's got this grey ET embryonic look about it, and they're just throwing it in your face. They're absolutely just throwing it right out there, straight from the Gnostic texts. That this is what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I think it's very because of all this pressure that's ramped up. in recent times. I think it's more like based on universal law and consent, right? So I guess, yeah, they would have to throw us a bone of truth out. And because this place is so much of a democracy, not only in the physical world, but within the mental realm as well. But it's mainly because the mental realm is the cause, and the behavior of the flesh avatars here is the effect. Then it's based on a consensus of consent. So unfortunately, we see all this stuff in these TV shows. I haven't seen Stranger Things,
Okay.
personally, and I'm probably not going to see it. But yeah, it'll be interesting for you to tell me what happens. But yeah, generally with these shows, it's kind of like, once again, it's one of the slimy things it does. It probably knows that, you know, we can see through it, we wholeheartedly disagree. However, because of the particular circumstance of the biological avatar and that particular class within like it's bioengineering knowledge. You know, it has engineered other life forms in different realities for whatever other sick, depraved experiments it wants to do. But this is just one instance of that. So we're like in this sort of entangled effect with, and I don't know how we got here, and to some reason that doesn't even matter as a question, but maybe we can talk about that later. But so we're here, and yeah, it is a metaphysical consent of the majority, which is to say, oh yeah, they're showing all of this shit on TV, and all right, cool. The algorithm sees the consensus and produces the outcome. But
this is why when I go and watch these things, I do actually state out loud, I do not consent. I do not consent to your outcome. I do not consent to your programming. I do not consent to your thinking that we're gonna think it's all right and yeah, go for it, and yeah, you can play the game. I don't consent to that at all.
Because I feel like it's like what we've done with the group, the Telegram group, and if anyone wants to join that, please check the link in the description, pinned comment. But we've chosen the Star of Chaos as a symbol, which is basically detachment from the symbol itself and representing like the idea of a idea unbound.
Yeah.
But that whole thing is because we have to be careful about not attaching to anything, even this whole soul trap thing, whatever. That's completely out in the open now, but that seems to be the best like model going so far based on available information. But it's not to. That's one of the things the demiurge could do once you settle, and then the religious mindset forms. So we've got to have this lucid creativity to not be emotionally engaged in one thing or the other. But so we're not attached to any particular idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of a very similar thing to what you was doing by watching the TV show and disengaging from the contract, it seems, because all of this is creating the choice to create an egregore on a collective level.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the demiurge has a sort of mirror where it can look back in on itself, and this is what the TV is. It's a kind of inverted mirror projection of the will of whatever life form has engaged in that metaphysical mechanism.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it goes into the cannibalism thing I was talking to Fish about. It's reinforcing this negative feedback loop within its mind, and so yeah, it definitely is a good thing to like withdraw consent. because it's basically like this is magic happening right in front of our eyes, how vibrations in the sensory domain can literally steer and orient the biological meat suit. And there's such a strange thing about the human form as opposed to animals who aren't affected by this, but this ego mechanism that seems to be like some kind of, intuitively it feels like a experimental prototype project and I think this kind of ties into a lot of information we've been exposed to about, aliens or the Anunnaki and things of that sort. It's such a perfect design for a slave race. How easily manipulatable the human mind is, how easily prone it is to traumas, and how that can, a trauma early on in life can completely disorient and lead off like a normal path, a healthy path, completely just, it's crazy like how fragile the human psyche is to manipulation and control.
I think this is why they hit straight away at birth, and I have said before about I'm sure the attacks start in utero, in the womb. I'm sure that starts there. And like, it's like even the analogy of the nurse delivering the baby and then slapping its ass. So the baby was in like a nice, safe environment, warm, looking up, hearing its mother's heartbeat. Then all of a sudden it's slammed into this world, and what's the first thing it gets? Pain, slapped ass. And that's just the analogy of this fucking realm, isn't it? You've come from somewhere very loving and safe and nurturing, and you get slammed into this world, and then boom, pain and suffering, from straight away. So they're very clever, and obviously they are clever, because they wouldn't be able to pull this off if they wasn't. Intelligence or whatever words we want to put towards that. But I just wanted to touch on actually what you said about how animals could maybe are not affected. I actually will disagree with that, because I see animals in fear most of the time, and I'm sure the demiurge are feeding off the animals' fear as well, because it's all survival out there, isn't it?
Is that all animals, or in particular? Would a lion or a gorilla be sitting in fear? Possibly not. They might have fear around maybe their young and protecting their young, but as a being in itself, sitting there, probably doesn't sit in fear. But coming down the food chain below these top predator animals, there is fear within all of them. That's how I see it. I was walking the dog a couple of weeks ago and just watching this squirrel, and it was just, its whole being was emanating fear. As soon as it looked down to try and grab some food, it was just looking up, and it was just checking around for any predators. And that even goes down to like when I've had house cats before, they will go down to feed, but they will get up and look around, even in the room, in the home, because they're checking if they're going to get attacked, why they're being vulnerable while they're eating. So I'm pretty sure that the demiurge are feeding off of animals' fear as well. Right. Okay. Yeah, I think the point was more about like how the human minds like can be manipulated for like more complex or sophisticated means of looting. But I definitely think that because I guess nature is the secondary matrix is the atom, but then springing forth from that various layers of abstraction, one of them being the natural world, so just a chemical configuration of the atoms that's been constructed from an etheric body, out of an etheric body. So it's created, you know, that's probably the first prototype for this Lucy mechanism that it's created.
Right.
And yeah, it's pretty good. You know, you've got prey, and you know, you've got to look out. You know, there's this very predictable component of it, and then but then you create a being capable of self-reflection, if there's an observer there, of course. But then for the mirror is the ego, but of course with the NPCs they are the ego, but for us it's like a mirror. So there's the self-reflection aspect, but then where, you know, it's genius in the sense of the discarnate ones, like the Hylic NPC population, they can just be because it's a sort of instinctual projectory device that is this ego that can actually create like physiological reactions, whether it be particularly positive, or most of the time it's fear-based emotions, but also positive emotions can also be used for the unholy masculine direction that it's trying to steer us in. Yeah, it's very interesting. Like it looks like nature is like the baseline, and then it's kind of layered on, you know, the next lower resolution layer of the onion, and then, you know, here this species is, but we can see sort of how crazy the manipulation is. But you know, I think that this goes into like I you know, because I've been feeling with you that like one of the reasons, because we've been speaking off camera and sort of resolving a lot of the issues that we've had that we just can't do with conventional counseling or therapy. Yeah. It hits a certain degree of empathy is required, but that can only be by way of you being able to put yourself in the shoes of someone else to understand what that means.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that's pointed out is that we've had a lot of blind spots. Minor interruption there, just a minor. But yeah, I think we'll talk about blind spots, and yeah, I really feel like this is the reason why they've like separated us, because yeah, just the amount of healing that's gone on off camera between you and me. I didn't even know about certain depths of my problems until they were pointed out, or sort of skewed ways of looking at something in a sort of unbalanced way, which is a similar thing with your like self-esteem issues. And that's not objective, that's like biased. Yeah. And it's very interesting because I really don't get this with anyone at all, like even professionals, because I think it's a lot to do with the empathy and being able to relate at this level. So yeah, but it's very interesting because these are like extremely potent looshing operations that, you know, probably, you know, as you said, probably in the womb when it started. And it's yeah, I mean, it's been incredibly like relieving, a breath of fresh air. So I really feel like this is you know, it's very interesting what's happened with the group as well, and what this means exactly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's exactly what you were saying about how they are separating us. So because, like you were saying off camera, how we've been helping each other through blind spots, and you've helped me see things where I knew there was an issue there, like you knew with your issues. You knew the issue, but it takes someone else to take their perspective and give you their opinion and their perspective on it and what they're seeing, because they're not emotionally involved as we are in ourselves. And just by having someone awake who knows about, like, you know, the emotional states and what we go through and the trauma and everything else, when that's brought to the table, yeah, there's profound healing that's going on. I've had profound healing over the last few months for you bringing up my blind sides. And like I said, I fucking welcome it. Because this is one of the solution tools we have against them. And it's one of the biggest ones we've got, pointing out our blind sides and helping each other heal in ways where, like you said, professional, what the fuck does that even mean? You know, what the fuck does that
they've got the certificate, and it's on a
they've got
a piece of paper from an institution, you know, funded by Rockefellers and their psychiatry.
Yeah, which is, you know, bullshit. Most, you know, 90% of the fucking psychological
allopathic medicine. Allopathic medicine.
Yeah. I mean, it's some of it's got its place, but you know, probably I'll say 90% bullshit. But like you said, this is a big reason they're keeping us apart, and especially if we come from a place of heart and love and empathy and wanting to support each other, and they fucking hate that shit. I mean, look what happened with the computer. My computer started shutting down. The battery went from 80% down to like 2%. It started glitching out. As we started coming on to what we was going to talk, the solution-based stuff, they want to fucking hear solution-based stuff. They start fucking panicking, you know, maybe playing with electronics. Is it a coincidence? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, what they want us doing is just going, just, you know, because I'm just going to put it all out on the table. Like I've seen what seems to be maybe like NPC infiltrators, even at this stage, who are aware of, they're like NPCs designed to call out NPCs. But what ends up happening is they end up in this sort of loop where they get kind of trapped in, you know, constantly complaining about the NPCs, constantly just this really weird sort of, I'm not saying any names, but I'm sure people can probably they probably know a few of these types. It's just this sort of very schizophrenic, sort of repetitive, you know, and it feels like a breath of fresh air with the NPC explanation to explain a lot of the weird phenomena we experience with quote unquote other people who you would initially think are yourself, and that's how empathy works, or it's part of how empathy works. And it's just this keeps us it attracts a particular, it's almost like one of the final nets or webs that can get us in, this sort of concentration on the, how can I explain it, the conspiracy behind the conspiracy, the false flags behind the conspiracy, the paid groups behind the conspiracy, but like a kind of focus directly on that, and the NPC goes into it as well. But it's kind of like, you know, in the soul trap thing, you could talk about that forever. There's so much information on it, but to be honest, like, it's based around a few things that it's gonna, so we know it's gonna, and who's to say that we attach to the idea, but based on the current running idea, who's to say that, all right, and we've also experienced in some of the DMT realms as well, but like we get hit by a bunch of things in front of our senses to interact with, and I'll say just don't even give them the light of day, don't even interact with them, don't speak to them. If they force their presence into whatever form of senses you have, you know, in a way how you can look at something, but you can daze out and actually be looking. Just because this is the innate power, because they have to convince you of even their solidity, but the whole demiurge is this sort of Maya matrix machine. Because I think this is one of the things that we want to talk about, how like this place has already had the plug pulled on it. And you know, when I say this with conviction, this is just an idea that I have, but it's the best explanation I can come up with the information I'm exposed to. So I haven't committed to this, but it's very possible that this place has already been unplugged and we never came into here. Because okay, so we have all these, we've got the 3D plane, and then obviously we've got time. Maybe the fifth dimension is all timelines on the spectrum. The dimensions are pointing from A to B. Then the sixth dimension perhaps accounts for solipsism, so i.e. everyone must have their own 5D matrix reality bubble, which then weaves and overlaps within this sixth dimensional space, which is each and every person's individual 5D matrix experience bubble. But then I'm thinking, okay, so there's this like machine, and we know that it can be branched off into like time loops, or even just entire linear timelines that runs from a concept of a sub-zero points to some concept of infinity. But then I'm thinking perhaps like the seventh dimension is then the line between the pleroma and this place, which is a kind of so what we was talking about before, how the demiurge will co-opt our free will, and our creative essence, which is of the infinite, the place of unconditional love, and kind of direct in an unholy masculine way through our consent. I feel like it's done it in a way where we've kind of printed almost like a tape on a movie cassette. It's printed. We are printing time as not discrete events, but you can kind of think of it like frames, just for the sake of the metaphor. But as we've printed time forward, it's really weird, and there's a catch to it. It's like each point we've kind of encoded into the medium itself, which is the Maya 5D, the Maya matrix, circumstances for which we become lucid within the dream, such that we're actually printing the past as we seem to be printing more time, because at each point that you're printing, you're also printing a further, a more advanced stage of your, salvation. So it's almost like, it's weird because it seems like we've gone in, but at the same time we've never gone in, and all of this is just like an idea, and it's like a point where you go in, you loop around, and then you pop back out of the points at which you entered demiurge matrix. But then we're only experiencing this solidity and a feeling of this reality because it's more of a effect or a program that have been printed out, but it has to kind of has to exist by accounting for the fact that it needs to be like executed. I don't know if any of that makes sense, or if it sounds, but yeah, it's essentially, it's like I really feel like this place has already had the plug pulled, and we've all got out, and you know, all these archons and stuff like that, there may have well been us who got caught up in the hall of mirrors that we print out for ourselves, and kind of degraded their essence over time, as what the demiurge does, such that it's kind of got us to, like a cancer, turning on itself, which is what the demiurge does, because it was formed of nothing but the pleroma, but it's kind of cannibalizing on the pleroma to keep expanding its cancer. So that's probably some of the things that it's doing. But yeah, I really feel like there's not much to worry, but except just denounce the whole thing. Even denounce the astral, the etheric, in the etheric realms.
This is why I think a lot of people, when they awaken, really awaken, they pull out of everything. They pull away from society. They pull away from everything, because there doesn't seem to be any point.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be any point of doing anything anymore. It's just like we're just waiting. That's what it feels like. It just feels like I'm waiting. Now, it does for me personally. I mean, I can't talk for anyone else, but that's how it feels. It feels like you were saying about loops. It feels like I'm going around on a loop, waiting. And are we waiting to get out? Are we waiting for some change? Are we waiting for an event? I don't know what, but it does feel like we're waiting. I don't know if anyone else feels that, but maybe someone might put it in the comments if they feel the same, that there's this wait going on. So
it's kind of like sorry, mate.
No, I was just going to say about how, and when you were talking about time and the looping of time, how when I was saying earlier about like what they're doing with CERN, if it's a thing, it might just be a load of propaganda bullshit, but it does seem like they're up to something, and they're always playing, or they want to play with time. And it's referenced everywhere. It's referenced in movies. It's referenced everywhere about time. And just to jump back into watching the series Stranger Things, the last episode I just watched, they've started touching on time. So, and then you hear all these things. Well, I have over the last sort of decade or so, timeline wars and all this thing. And then like you look at, I was always intrigued with time and time travel as a child. Always very intrigued with all of that, and it used to set off a passion in me. And I used to watch as many time travel movies as I could, and any time travel movie that would come out, I'd grab hold of and watch. And so there must be something to the manipulation of time and what they're doing with that, and how there may be, if there's such a thing as manipulation of time in consciousness, because as we know, when you go into the DMT realms, there's no time. But at the same time, there is, paradoxically. It's like this all-encompassing forever now that seems to have a fluid motion forward, which we call time. So if we've got out and they've pulled the plug already, perhaps there's something going on where they're trying to loop time back on itself to keep our consciousness in a state of bullshit, where we're being bullshitted into thinking that we're here, but we're not actually here. We're just being manipulated to think we are.
Yeah. That, I think that is a big part, and the sort of hopelessness and the nihilism. It, as it shows itself for more of what it is, it's going to really try and have a go at you and attack you as hard as it can in the places it knows hurts, because it's made your subconscious. That's separation and filling in the blind spots. Is very important that we can talk about this, like, with each other or anyone else for that matter. But I mean, I don't know. One, I don't even know if this is even just a crazy idea or like whether it's actually going on. But
yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to go with it. But like, it's what I was saying in Garrett's or maybe your podcast, I can't remember which one, but this is kind of like, I feel like we're sending out like a distress beacon to kind of say spread this information, but it's almost to say that this sink is shipping, and you've got to get out. You've got to get on a life raft before everything goes under. But it's already gone under. The plug's already been pulled. But I don't know how many has got out, or how many has just gone down with the ship. Not that is necessarily a problem, but once again, when it comes down to trying to change or convince, to try and get a real change in play, in terms of waking up, this great new age awakening. Ultimately, whether you get out or not is dependent upon a choice that you make yourself as a sovereign being. So it's kind of like, there's not really much to be done other than if you give in to just this grand fucked up illusion. And yeah, so it could be very, I definitely feel as if this is some kind of purgatory waiting room.
Sure.
So I really feel like life actually begins at death. And this could possibly be the afterlife. Bearing in mind, I'm also very optimistic. This is, even though I can sustain this nihilistic, almost arguably pessimistic and misanthropic view, it's because I've got my I'm really interested in kind of just having a laugh and trying to enjoy it while I'm here, and I really want to just somehow, in a metaphorical way, but however it manifests, like I was saying before, manifest a middle finger made out of granite and plant it on one of the ley lines before I get out of here.
Yeah.
Or we could get giant speakers the size of skyscrapers, put them on all the ley lines of the world, and then just, I don't know, put on some psytrance or something and just literally shake the world, So just something, I'm very interested to see how you can fuck around in the Matrix, even though it's I've accepted it's fucking god awful, the suffering is immense. But instead of giving into sort of hopelessness, the one thing that makes me quite never makes me feel like I'm disempowered is the fact that I can acquire knowledge, but then the main point is actually to translate your knowledge into an actual actionable thing in the 3D world.
Yeah.
So could be anything, but whatever your particular creative outlet is, everyone has something, sold people just I think it was one of Derek's old videos. He was talking about I think it's a grand music parade where there was just this sort of conglomeracy of all expressions of that. I thought, yeah, that's something that I can see as well. So yeah, it's mainly just fucking around, but in regard to the manipulation, yeah, they're probably creating new timelines to then coerce our consent back into looping in on ourselves. But we fucking know that. But at the moment you say you know that is when the Wetiko's got you. So that's the thing. Any ideas are all out in the open. There's no commitment to any of them. I will throw away this entire model.
Yep.
In the blink of an eye if something else comes up.
Sure.
And that's how it can never get you, if you sort of you maintain a kind of forever on edge, lucid creativity that's kind of on the boundary between sanity and insanity, if that makes sense. You right in the razor sharp edge, but you keep it there, and you can kind of it's kind of like riding chaos. That's what I see it as.
Yeah, it's something you said about getting out of here, just something resonated in there about how they get awakened ones into fear. I've seen this about, am I going to make it out? Am I going to get out? And that's just another trap they get you into. Are you going to make it out? How are you going to, do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? Or whatever it is. I mean, people, I've been through it, trying to clean myself up profusely and failing on some of it quite miserably. Because innately what's going on in the background is fear of, I need to get out. And that's what's happening. So the more, from my perspective, that I was playing with, the more I was trying to clean up in a sense of, oh, I need to be this pure being enabled to enable me to escape, is actually causing a hindrance on just what you were just saying about enjoyment and just joy and just being here. And I've said it many times, and I do have a fucking good laugh at all of it a good portion of the time. That they're going to get us with every little loophole, every little weakness they're going to dive into and go there. And like I said, I've watched other people and myself, like, you know, not panic, but we'll call it panic. How am I going to get out? How the fuck am I going to get out? I need to do this. I need to stop smoking. I need to eat better. I need to sort this. I need to fucking do this. I need to meditate more and all this fucking shit. I need to do my internal work, the shadow work. And it goes on and fucking on. And I need to clear this trauma and that trauma. And while all those things are good and beneficial and nurturing and from my perspective should be done, I think we go around tripping ourselves up all the time, trying to get to this perfect being state that ultimately we already are anyway.
Yeah.
It's just we're playing out this weird reality, whatever the fuck this really is. And yeah, the demiurge come in and slap your ass with any weakness you've got. Hence why we've spoke about our blind sides and helping each other emotionally, and we've started the group on the Telegram for people to come together, share, and then what I would love to see out of it. I mean, I've got no stake in what outcome that group has and where it goes and the conversations and whatever happens about that. But I would love to see the support for each other as we become, like I've always said, the more radical honesty, open-heartedness and love, we have, if we can start projecting that more and supporting each other with these attributes, they can't fucking touch us, and they'll fucking hammer us as hard as they will because we want to go down those roads. And something that we were speaking about on the phone last night about, it does seem like, again, just personally for myself, that as I get closer to this light, whatever, that the demiurge is coming in hard and strong. And it seems like at the most darkest period in our journey is when we're the closest to the light, and they're going to go for it. And I think that's what's happening now. I see many awakened ones profusely struggling and in deep suffering. And God forbid I even say some NPCs I see suffering. But there is a lot of it going down at the moment where the demiurge really are fucking... Are they panicking in a way that they are losing this realm? Or is it that they're going in for that big harvest because of the amount of fear being generated at the moment? I'm not sure. I'm not sure of anything, to be honest with you, Nick. I'm just like everyone else. I'm just fumbling about in the dark, mate, and trying to find my way to the light. And I think that's what we're all doing. And we're contextualizing and we're talking, and that's what we do. We're just trying to come to a place of where we're going to find our best way to solve this problem that we find ourselves in. And it doesn't matter how messy we go about it. because it's fucking messy. I just think as we just keep talking, going forward, interacting with people, see where this group goes. Like I said, the radical honesty about our emotions as well is where we can start chinking away and getting some solutions down, because most people don't really want to talk about their emotions or their dark aspects, and this is where my rawness comes out, and there's something in me that wants to be so honest and radical with that, maybe to help others become more honest.
Yeah.
And it's a hard one, because I just done quite a vulnerable, honest video a couple of days ago, and then something was niggling at me, and I took it down. I'm not quite sure why I took it down, but I think there might have been some fear around how vulnerable I was on that video.
I think you've got to be careful of like dark occultists who also, because I know there's some fucking cunts watching this, and you know where they're coming from. I fucking know that they're doing it, but aside from the point, yeah, like I think, yeah, that's what we do, and
so that's why I'd be more open in a smaller group. I know Telegram's not private. I understand everything's being monitored and recorded. Everything. I understand this Skype room is being transcribed. I understand all of it. Yeah, and I understand that we will get infiltrators into the group. It's inevitable.
It's the nature of Wetiko. There will be infiltrators, but we can always see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I think it's just down to maybe just having the balance between having the courage to talk about and being open with things that can heal us, like, our emotions and our blindside stuff and our shadow and our dark aspects, and what you're going to put out on a public platform for other people that know about black magic and can psychically attack you because they know you're in a vulnerable state or you're talking very openly. And if you haven't got your protection up and you haven't worked around your protection methods, and I do a lot of protection all the time, but fuck it goes down and I forget about it, and it's something that has to be recharged fucking continually. And I get hit very fucking profusely all the time by these beings. So I suppose there's going to have to be some sort of balance between what you give out on a public platform and how we can help. Like I said, I feel a little bit more comfortable opening up on the Telegram group about things like this and how we can help each other. Because like I said, I know everyone's suffering. I know it. So, we're just going to have some discernment around that as well, and just see how this plays out. But it's like there's part of me that goes, fuck off to them. I'm just going to lay it all out. I don't care if you attack me. I don't care if I get another fucking dark occultist coming on and try and fucking attack me and all that, because I'm aware of attacks, and a lot of the time I can fight back and do that, and a lot of it's actually fighting back with love.
Yeah.
That love and light fucking word that we spoke about before we recorded, where those two words have been severely hijacked by the demiurge, put into the new age for people that have moved out the new age, and they go, fucking love and light, it's all new agey shit. Well, it's not actually. We are actually love, and we are actually the true organic light. And you just say these words, love and light, on something like a podcast we're doing, and you got people who are what level of awakening they're at, they're going to start going, fucking love and light. And it's not about that. It's about the true organic light we have in us that can be shone out with so much love that will disintegrate these beings, because I've seen it disintegrate them before in the DMT realms.
Yeah.
When I'm being hassled, I didn't know quite what to do at first with them. I was playing about for maybe a year or so with aggression, or trying to push them away, weaponry, light swords, and all this sort of stuff, until it comes to me one day, just shine your love out of your heart center. And I had this entity hassling me, and I thought, fuck it, I'll try it. And yeah, that entity rung. Scarpa disappeared, disintegrated within an instant of me opening my heart and shining that light out. So, and this is why you know, many people talk about being in the open heart space, and again that gets hijacked in the New Age as well. You know, twisted and played with. Oh, you know, the heart space. It even sounds fucking New Agey. You know, but it's what we've got to work with, and I think, no, I don't think, I know that's our greatest weapon against them is our true organic love and our true organic light.